I can see you've already been enjoying some product there then, huh? So welcome to this event for the Great Lakes Business Network. We are a relatively new group. And I'm just going to tell you here, and I'm going to read this so I don't mess it up. The purpose of the Business Network is to coordinate and elevate the voices of business leaders to protect the lakes from environmental threats. Our current focus, the network of business leaders, believes that the risk posed by the Line 5 oil pipeline crossing the Straits of Mackinac are too high compared to the benefits. We support decommissioning Line 5 in a strategic manner that minimizes any potential economic disruptions. We have a few people that are going to speak. I first want to just tell you how I came to this. So, several years ago, down in my neck of the woods, there was the largest inland oil spill in the history of the United States when Enbridge's Line 6 broke down around Marshall. When it first happened, it was in the paper. I didn't pay a whole lot of attention because it didn't seem like a lot. And then things kind of snowballed and kept going, and the oil, this diluted bitumen that sank to the bottom of the river, started coming down towards Kalamazoo. And what really brought it home for me was one day out in my industrial park, looking out my window, I saw that somebody was building a new business next to mine, which I thought was great, you know. And when I stopped and inquired, I said, what are you building here? We're building a bank. A bank? Well, maybe it's back office stuff. And then I noticed they were hooking up to the fire hydrants and just taking water, which roils up the water at the brewery, which isn't good. And then we found out that it was Enbridge building a remediation pad. And they were planning on processing 430,000 cubic yards of contaminated river bottom right next to our food production facility, and with prevailing winds, benzene was going to blow into the brewery, and it really became an existential threat to my business. And I wound up having to sue them, and it was not a fun process. I spent a lot of money on lawyers. And at the end of the day, we were able to prevail, and there's a beautiful business there that makes gourmet outdoor grills, and Enbridge moved on. But I learned a lot about how they operate, what goes on with these oil pipelines. And I think for a lot of us, that event brought up, okay, where are the other pipelines in our state? And we found out, lo and behold, there's a pipeline in the worst place possible under the Straits of Mackinac. And I think people were just incredulous to find this out. And so now we've learned a lot more. So obviously I cared about Line 6, but why do I care about Line 5? Well, I can tell you that for Bell's, Mackinac Island and the Straits up here are a huge part of our business. We are the title sponsor for the annual sailboat race, iconic sailboat race the Bayview Mackinac race goes from Port Huron up here, so brings tons of tourism up here. This island, for that fact, really supports us a lot. We sell a lot of beer up here, helps drive tourism all over the state. Additionally, I own a small brewery over in Escanaba, Michigan. And Escanaba, we use water from Lake Michigan. So even if there wasn't a big break, just the perception that the lakes are contaminated and that the water that we're using is contaminated would hurt my business. If you take communities like Charlevoix and Petoskey and Sheboygan, communities that take water from Lakes Michigan and Huron, think what would happen to tourism if you no longer have municipal water systems. You can't just turn on a dime and drill wells. This is our water. This is what we use. People count on it. Industry, tourism, sport fishing, recreational boating. The Great Lakes is what we have in Michigan. It's a really important part of our economy, and it's something that we should cherish and we should protect. And what we have is oil that comes from Canada, comes through Michigan, and goes to Canada. And Michigan takes all this risk, and what reward do we get for it? We get very little reward. There's a few jobs. There's a little oil that goes to Detroit. There are some issues to be solved with this. I'm not going to be naive about this. You know, these pipelines carry propane, and Having been a resident of the UP and still owning property up there, I understand the economy of the UP. There's a lot of retirees on fixed incomes that count on propane, and you can't balance the health of the Great Lakes and our economy on the backs of the retirees in the UP. We have to solve that. We have to solve what happens with oil that gets unloaded into the line from Michigan Oil in the northern Lower Peninsula. Okay, that's another issue. These are things that we can solve. We have a lot of smart people in this state. We can figure out how to make this happen. And I've gotten into the weeds on some of these things. We're not going to do that right now. But what we need is we need some leadership in this state. We need some people up at the top of government that are going to take on these issues and are going to direct us and be a strong voice to make change happen and to take the pipeline out of the straits. And it can be done. So we're going to work on that. First of all, I want to thank Mary back there for allowing us to take over her establishment today. Thank you, Mary. And can you imagine being a bar owner with 3,000 politicians running around for a few days? You got some trouble there, don't you? We have both Republicans and Democrats in the room, and when it comes to water, I think legislators on both sides of the aisle, if there's one thing that they've come together on in the Great Lakes, is water. And this is something that is for everybody in the state, and it's a bipartisan issue for everybody to work together. We got a few people that we want to have talk today. I wanted to start, before I introduce everybody, I wanted to have one of the local people come up. Anneke Myers is city councilwoman here for Mackinac Island, and we're going to have her say a few words for us. Anneke.
I just wanted to greet all of you and thank you for coming to Mackinac Island. This is truly a gathering place where people have gathered for ages. And we thank you to the Great Lakes Business Network for taking on this issue. It's a very important issue to our community, and I speak to it as a person who lives here year-round, who depends on our water system. And we've been told, too, that if the pipeline does break, that we would not have transportation to the island. Because the ferries wouldn't be able to run. So we would lose our entire economy, but not only that, of our community. And I think that we might be in a situation where we had to abandon our homes, which would be devastating. And as you all know, because you come here and you enjoy this community as well. So I just want to thank you to all of you for taking on this issue. And we just have to charge on and make sure that it can happen, that we can shut down that pipeline. I have a yard sign. And we have a whole string of them at British Landing, so people come up there and they take their picture alongside them. So we're really happy about that. Thank you very much.